The A7 is an employee database assignment. And in A7, the challenge is to use nested dictionaries and custom functions. So we're going to be using most of what we've learned so far to create an employee database program that allows you to add and remove employee records. It should include, at minimum, name, salary, position, title. So what are the data types here? Name is going to be a string. Salary is going to be a float. And position title is going to be a string, right? So it's going to have different data types in that dictionary. And so what we're going to do is I'm not going to show you how to do the assignment, but I'm going to walk you through a practice exercise that is a pretty close parallel to that assignment. So we're going to do something that I call the fruit stand inventory. So I'm going to keep track of fruit for my farmer's market fruit stand. I'm going to have the fruit name and price and quantity. I'm going to use a nested dictionary variable, and we'll have functions for adding fruit and removing fruit. Okay? So this is fruit stand practice. All right, so first thing I want to do, when I'm doing something like this, the best place to start is by creating the data model that you want to use. So creating a model of that nested dictionary. So let's create that. I'll call it dfruit, and it's going to be a dictionary. And in that dictionary, I'm going to have an ID number or an ID string. That's not a number, it's a string for each fruit so that I can refer to them easily. And then for each fruit, I'm going to have the following information. I'm going to have name. I'm going to have price. And so the price is going to be a float. And then we are going to do quantity. Quantity. There we go. And the quantity is going to just be an integer. So now that I have that model defined for each fruit, I want to make sure that I'm following that model exactly. So every fruit should have the exact same information. Okay, so I have 10 apples at 69 cents each. I have 20 oranges at 89 cents each. That's good enough. So let's walk through this. If I want to add a new fruit to this, there's two basic steps that I need to do. The first step is I need to build the inside dictionary. That's the value. So the value of the dictionary is the inside here. I'm going to build this first, and then I'm going to add it to my main dictionary. So let's talk that through. So if I have, and I'm just going to create variables. Rather than using input, I'm just going to create variables that have static so you can see how this works. strid equals fr3. Right, so that we have the ID, str name equals grapes, str price equals $1.29, and actually that's not a price, that's a float. That's not a string, it's a float. There we go. Int quantity equals, let's just do 15. So let's pretend that I'm getting the data from a user via input. I'm checking the values and all that stuff. So now I have that. To add a record to this data variable, this data structure, the first thing I need to do is create a temporary dictionary object that I'm just going to use for 1 second. And that is going to be the inside part. So I'm going to go name, str name, comma, price, not prints, price is going to be FL price, and quantity is going to be this. Okay, so I've created the inner part of this. Because remember, to add something to an existing structure like that, I need to give it the new key and the value. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add that. So I'm going to say dfruit, and then I'm going to use strid because that's the new key, and I'm going to use dtemp for the new value. And so if I print that dfruit after I add that, right? So that's going to say dfruit new ID, right? strid equals, and that's what goes on the other half, is this. So it's going to add that as an additional record. So when I create this, it prints it all out sideways, but you can see here, now I've got my new fruit added. So that worked fine. Now, if I want to remove something, right, then let's say I want to remove FR1 after I add that new one. So I'm going to say dfruit.pop FR1 because that's the key of the thing I want to remove. So if I take that and I remove it and I put it in that variable, what's going to be in there is not actually a string, it's a dictionary. Because if I pop this, then what it's going to return to me is all of this. So now if I want to print what was removed, I'm going to say something like dfruit, or removed, sorry. And then I'm going to say name, because I want to say what was removed. Now I want to use single quotes inside of my double quotes. When you have quotes inside of quotes, so I have double quotes here, 2 and 2. If I want to put something inside of quotes, like removed and then the name, I have to use single inside the double, because otherwise it will think that I'm closing out the quotes with the double here. So if I use single quotes inside the double quotes, then that works the way it should. So this is how we remove things from that as well. So now you can see I get apples was removed, and you can see now we have that with grapes added and apples was removed. So those are the two big things that we're going to do, the two big management tasks for a fruit stand.